Welcome back to Bookmates with
Hello,
Shelley
and Yvonne. This is episode 7.
7.
Yes, 7. First of all, we wanted to say thank you to everyone that has downloaded the episodes, that have shared episodes, that have subscribed on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much. We are very grateful and humbled. So, yeah. Um, so on this episode, we are going to talk about the prequel called The Assassin's Blade of Sarah J. Maas. And
Now,
this,
when we started this, did you like I had it in my head. I wondered if she had written this first, but she didn't. She wrote it
no,
after, but as a prequel, right?
yes, correct. So the first book, if you go by dates that was published, that's at least that's how I like to read, and that's how I read it. Um, this will be the third book that you would read.
Yes.
This will go in between Crown of Midnight and Hair of Fire.
Yes, if you were to read it that way, which is
Yes.
the controversy in
That's the controversy that everybody has. A lot of people read it first because I do have to say that when you read, on perspective, Shelley finished it when she was going to start the
Queen of
fourth book.
Shadows.
I finished, I was listening to it when I started reading Hair of Fire, the third
Yeah,
one.
and I really
So,
didn't finish it until I was actually finished with Queen of Shadows. I read it
yeah,
at the same time, and
yes,
then it really wasn't until Empire of Storms, and around that I think in the very beginning, I think I finished it around that time, but yeah.
yeah.
And then there's
Uh,
people that tandem read because Assassin's Blade is novellas from Celaena's time before she gets to Endovier.
mhm.
Some people would read it where some of those characters filtered in the other book, so they would read the novella and then read that next book, read a second novella, then
Oh, I never.
yeah.
I did see the tandem read of with Empire of
Mhm.
Storms and the Tower of Dawn.
Yeah.
That we will talk about those later, but I haven't. I have never heard about that. That will be that's
And
yeah.
then chapters too, I think, like, certain chapters of Empire of Storms, then they would tandem read with that too. So,
Oh,
there's all kinds of ways to do it.
that would be too confusing
I
for me. You know what
know.
I'm saying? That would be like no.
Yeah.
Uh, this one, I get why people would like to read it first. I liked when I read it, but at first we didn't think. I was like, so I still remember when we went to Bastrop to have breakfast to go to the
Uh-huh.
bookstore, that we were talking about Throne of Glass. And when we looked at the list, at first I thought it was like maybe 13 or 15 books
Yeah.
because I saw all of the chapters of the
I felt
novellas
the same
of the book.
way. I was like, "There
And
is
I was
just
like,
no way."
no way. But no, they were all
Yeah.
together. So
And they
this
were pretty
book
short.
has, yeah, this book has 5 chapters or
Yeah.
novellas. And we go into a lot of details and of Celaena as an assassin. So in this book, we get to meet Arabin. He is the king of the assassins, and Celena's like boss or master.
Or
Um,
maybe more, but not.
he wanted it to be more, but he's
Man,
like a super
it
creeper.
was through that, and then once we see him in the other books too, it was like I can't figure you out, man. Are you trying to be your dad? Are you trying to be just I like just
Well,
full ownership, basically.
yeah, and the other books, she would say, the way that he's looking at me, not like a father or a brother, like something else. I was like, "Ooh, no, because he found her when she was 10 years old.
Yeah.
That's when so we meet
Yeah.
him, we meet Sam too. And Sam, if if you are, Sam, obviously, when we read Throne of Glass, the first one, she mentions Sam, and in Crown of Midnight, she goes more into detail with him about him, but yeah, so the first novella of this one, it's called The Assassin and the Pirate Lord. And in this one, we meet this pirate called Captain Rolf. And Celaena and Sam are sent by Arabin to finish an agreement, finish something that he, like a business deal that he is trying to do with Captain Rolf. And I really like how I've always loved her swagger,
Yes.
but in this book, and I don't know if you felt the same way, but I'm so accustomed to reading the books where the female protagonists are always like second guessing themselves, or I'm not very, like bringing themselves down. And here comes Selena. She's like, nope, I know what I am. I know what can I bring. I'm like, I'm here. Like,
Yes.
I love that about her so much.
Yes, for
That's
sure.
something that I love about her.
Yeah, and we really see that come out in this first book too. I mean, this first chapter with Raw and how she is with him because he's portrayed as this really scary, intimidating pirate lord,
And
basically.
very handsome too. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And she didn't care. And that is consistent throughout the entire series is it can be the most powerful, most intimidating person and she is the same person. She
Yes.
does not put on airs at all. So, I liked Rolf, however
Yeah.
you say it, but I liked him. I felt like she met her match with him a bit
Yes.
because
Yes,
he
I
had his
agree with
own
you.
swagger and he was not
Yes.
he was I don't think that he was intrigued or I mean, I'm sure he was intrigued, what's the word? But he was not intimidated by her at all,
No, no, no,
and nor she with him.
no. And also in this book, you see too, they something that has always stayed with me. Nobody really knew who the assassin was.
That's right.
Nobody knew. They knew it was a female,
Yeah.
but nobody knew that it was a 17-year-old
That's the
girl.
thing, I think that's what shocks everybody, and it shocked me too reading it.
Yeah,
It's like she
yeah,
was so
same.
young, and
She was.
she was amazing,
Yes,
and
yes,
she
yes,
saw more and did more in her 17 years of life than most would have done by 40 or something. So I think that was
yes.
why it was like, "Wait, what? She's 17?"
And we start seeing, more of who Selena is, how she thinks, and how her mind works.
Yes.
Um, and in that novella, one of the things that Arabin always did and was amazing at was pinning people against each other.
Yeah, he was
Um,
a master
because
manipulator.
yes, he wanted to be the center of everything, and in this in this in this time, it was the first time when Sam and Selena don't have Arabin there. So they can start, like, they open they're open a little bit more, and and she starts seeing Sam in a different light.
Yes. And he her
Yes,
as
yes,
well.
yes.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
they're not putting on when he starts to really see how she puts on this persona,
yes,
and
exactly.
he kind of sees, okay, there's actually another layer here.
Yeah,
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 which was
yeah.
really sweet to watch.
So when they go there, they find out that Arabin is wanting to get into like the slave
Yeah.
trade with Captain Rolf, and so Selena comes up with a plan to go ahead and pretty much set free all of those slaves, and Sam helps her
Helps her
out.
out, yeah.
But then yeah, he's like, "Okay, let's do this." And in Selena's fashion, she will come up with something super crazy, and it always works out in the end.
And those
she
around are just going with the flow, and I know
they're like,
I was pleasantly surprised because having read it after reading book
yes,
3 and seeing how her mind works and seeing how she kind of, orchestrates these big
yes,
things, to see that it was really she's always been this way and she's always kinda thought 5 steps ahead. It was refreshing to see that, and I was intrigued
like
by it
her
for sure.
origin story.
Huh?
It's like her origin story,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I really like that. So pretty much she screws up Arabin's plan. She comes
and
back, and
kinda
then the
traps
second
Rolf into going along with it too, where he doesn't have to kill her.
yes, exactly. Yes, I
Because
forgot
again,
about
that
that
was
part.
part of her master planning, right? And she kind of got him and tricked him into being in her debt.
Yes, yes. Um, so the second novella is called The Assassin and the Healer. So when she comes back, she and Sam tell, Arabin that they don't know what happened, but
He
he knows
knows.
that they screwed up. So that chapter was a little bit hard for
It
me to
was really
read
hard, yeah.
because, that you start seeing more, it comes more into light, the cruelty that Arabin has. So he goes ahead and he has her bitten. They beat her down, and all of this in front of
Yeah,
Sam.
Sam has to watch, which there
Watch.
this is when you kind of see, okay, Sam actually kinda cares for her
Yeah.
because Arabin is making him watch and restraining so that he can't help, but it was really hard. That scene was really hard because she gets, like, beat to a pulp for the most part by
Yeah.
him, by
Yeah.
Arabin.
Yes. And she passes out,
Yeah,
she doesn't remember, and when she comes out, he tells her that he is sending her to the desert to like a punishment to I think she was to train with a mute master. So the assassins, they had each place had like a guild.
yeah.
uh they were they had unions, people. So they will go, and he was going to send her there, but in the second one is called The Assassin and the Healer. So when she's on her way there, she meets this barmaid.
Yeah,
Her name is Irene
and this
Towers.
is where we differ on how to pronounce her name. I was like
Yes,
I called you, I said, "Is it Urine? I'm reading it as Urine, and you're listening." Well, I was listening to it too, but for some reason, I kept wanting to call her Urine, but it was
that sounds like
I
urine.
know, that's what you kept saying. So how do you say it? What was it again?
Irene.
Irene. It was Irene.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
spell it Irene then, Sarah Mass. Spell it with an I, not a Y.
Well, I understand this because a lot of people sometimes call me Javon because I
Oh,
have a Y.
really?
Yeah.
Hmm,
I'm like, no, it's Yvonne. It's like, and then Y doesn't have an I or an E. I'm like, I don't
yeah.
know, whatever.
So,
Anyway,
yeah, she
so
meets
we
this
meet.
healer kind of and you know.
So she pretty much she goes ahead and she helps the healer out,
Yeah. Because the healer kind
the
of
healer,
was a little bit meek and kind of
well, she
I don't know if meek would
she
be the word, but
no, she was
yeah,
surviving, really. She left because her mom was a healer as well, and then they eliminated the
yeah,
mom. So she was able to escape. Um and she was like buying her time in order to be able to go to this land that there had a healer school
yeah,
because he wanted to train there. So Selena sees that this girl, she's very quick and she observes a lot. So she goes ahead and she kind of helps her out a little bit. But Irene is telling her, Selena goes there and she is like all bruised because it was just, Arabin had just like beat her to the
yeah,
pulp. And then she goes and then she helps Irene and she really like she helps her like defend
yeah.
herself. That part, I love
I
that
do too.
part.
Yeah.
And when she was, she's like the only thing that I will ask of you is to teach more women how to defend
That's
themselves.
right, because Selena kinda taught her a few moves and how to defend herself, and then she said, "You need to teach other women this so that you're not stuck in a situation that you can't get yourself out of."
And that when I read this part, that this is when I started to like really love Selena a little bit more because she went ahead and she asked Irene, "Why are you still here?" And Irene told her, "It's like, I don't have the money. I want to do this." So she's like, "Well, do
Do
it."
it, yeah.
She was the one that pushed Irene to like go. So before she left, she went ahead and she left her money and she wrote her a note. And that's when we moved to the third novella.
Yes.
And the third one is called The Assassins and the Desert. And in this one, she meets the mute master.
Uh-huh.
She meets this other woman that's called Ansel.
Mhm.
She also we meet Elias, that's the mute master's son.
Mhm.
And pretty much Selena got there and she's like a little bit like what happened with Hair Fire. Like, I have to be here, I have to train.
Let's do it,
My
let's knock it
master.
out so that I can go on to the next thing.
Exactly. And then Arabin had sent her like this, like thing that this paper, and she had to have the mute master like vouch for her, like, yeah, she's good to go and you can send her to train her.
Yeah.
So that chapter was a little bit of a drag for me,
Mhm.
if I'm being honest. um yeah, she met Ansel, and
Alias.
Ansel, yes, and Ansel wasn't like the best uh person
Yeah.
at the end.
Well, and it was one of those, where you see Selena how much she just needs a friend too because she
Yes,
hasn't had any. She it is in the guild, it's every
it's all
man for
men.
himself. Yes, and it's all men.
Mhm.
She's the only female, so she has no no companion really, and she kind of
Mhm.
was maybe gonna start having a companion with Sam, and then that whole thing blew up where, I mean, she was sent away. Who knows what happened to Sam at this point? She doesn't know. So I think she was really grasping for some friendship here with
Yes.
Ansel,
Yeah.
and, and of course we get disappointed because Ansel has other plans that
Yeah.
just railroad it all, and
Yeah.
then y
And you know something? Ansel also helped her. I feel like Ansel allowed her to be a 17-year-old
Oh,
girl for
yeah.
a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Uh, there were moments when I felt like she was able to like let herself loose a little bit. But again, she and then I I don't know if you felt this way, but the Mute Master for me, it was almost like a type of like a yogi type of vibe
Yes!
because
I felt the same way. I did. I just pictured these
almost like Yoda,
robes
like
and just, like, being in
yeah,
this, like, you know,
he's not
namaste all the
talking.
time.
Yeah, exactly. He's not talking because he decided not to talk. It's not because he's mute per se. But the thing is that Selena ends up saving everybody at the
Yeah.
there and
Because Ansel was actually a spy and was kind of orchestrated this whole thing to assassinate the Mute Master, and then, yes, Celaena went in and kind of saved, but also saved Ansel, which again just
yes,
shows more of her character and her heart, and yeah.
yes,
And then
yeah,
Ansel is now in her debt, as well as the Mute Master.
exactly. Everybody's on her debt. And she knows what she's doing, people.
Mhm.
She really
Mhm.
knows. So the Mew Master sent her back. Oh, and in this one, we get introduced to the spiders, and
Oh, yeah.
we get introduced to the spider silk.
The Spider
And
Silk, and what was his name that sold it?
I don't remember, but we get introduced to this
Like
guy
this,
that
merchant.
the merchant. Yes.
Mhm.
And he will come around as well.
Yes.
Again, Sarah J. Maas, she is a mastermind and
She was
you know,
she was very strategic with this, and I think, who knows how she creates this story, and, like, if there's a board and,
you know,
like, okay, here are all the and then strings, that's what I can see
I know,
how she.
like the guy with the meme with the conspiracy
Yes,
theories.
yes,
Yes.
and so I feel like when she finished book 2, she's like, "Okay, I gotta get some characters. How am I gonna bring these characters in? Boom, here's these novellas. This is remember this."
Yep. I agree. I agree. Yep.
Alright, so then we move into where she goes back to
Yes,
Arabin,
it's
right?
called this one is called The Assassin and the
Mhm.
Underworld. So the thing is that when she leaves, the Mute Master gives her like a lot of money so he can go ahead and pay off she can pay off the debt that she had with
That's
Arabin.
right.
Um so she goes back and in this one we meet Lysandra.
Yes.
So Lysandra is a courtesan that Arabin, the nasty guy that he is, has always pinned against Selena.
Mhm. Like a
And
competition for his
yeah,
affection.
yeah. And it was Selena, Lysandra, and Sam. They were the same age
Mhm.
group,
They kinda
more or
came
less.
into it all together. Yeah.
Yes. So, what did you first thought of Lysandra when she was introduced to us?
Well, I didn't read Assassin's Blade. I had already read Queen of Shadows and had already been
Yeah,
introduced to her. So it just made
yeah,
sense because all of that had already come out in Queen of Shadows. So going back, I was like, "Oh, this is what they were talking about."
no.
So,
I didn't like her,
oh,
obviously, in the
no.
beginning.
No.
I was like, this. Mhm.
And I
I'm
probably
like,
would have been more so had I not already read Queen of Shadows,
yeah, exactly.
then I probably would have had that too. But again, this is where the different perspectives come in because I already
Yes.
knew h how she was gonna play
Well, she
in.
was, yes, and you knew part of her story going, finishing that one.
Yeah.
Um, but in this one, in this novella, we get a mention of Dorian and Kale Broccolini in one of the parties that Celaena
Oh,
was,
yeah.
which it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember
Um,
that.
she did. Here we see more Arabin, like for me, he's like the perfect narcissist
Yes.
and love bomber,
Yes.
because when she comes back, he's like, I feel so ashamed. I'm so sorry about everything that I did, and blah 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 blah, and putting, like, I'm giving you all of this. And Selena, when she comes back, she is like, you know something, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay off my debt. She had bought, like, she used to live in the Assassin's Keep, and she went ahead and she, like, got a place, and she was ready to, like, deuces, say
Yeah,
bye.
and then being the
And
narcissist and controller that he was, he totally kept manipulating her into staying and kind of really making her question, "Okay, well, may he did do all these things for me," and it's just your typical pattern of an abuser and the
yes,
abusee.
yes, especially since, he saved her life, you know when she was a kid. But then he started seeing the way that she and Sam were, like, getting to know each other, and then Sam and her were doing um uh things together, like, I'm trying to look for the word,
Like, more
like
jobs.
jobs,
Yeah.
yes, sorry. Projects. It wasn't a project. uh so but then we get introduced here to her love for music.
Yes.
And if you remember in the first book, in Throne of Glass, when she was, like, playing the
Uh-huh.
piano, and when she plays the piano
Dorian.
for Dorian and for Nehemia
Oh,
too,
yeah.
that was something, like, very special for her, because that also reminded her of Sam.
Yeah.
Um and so then after, so here they so here Arabin says, okay, you're free to go, but he keeps giving her things, like, gifts to her. But then for Sam, he is like, oh no, he has to pay for this. And she was like, well, we did the same thing, we should be equally.
Yeah, he was a typical Arabin style trying to pin them against each other and cause problems.
When actually what he did was, in my opinion, he yes, he was able to, like, move them closer
Yeah.
together. So then the last novella of this one, it's called The Assassin and the Empire.
Mhm.
That one wrecked my heart, even though I knew what was going to
We
happen.
knew, but it's still and I mean, I was listening to it actually for spring break in the car
Yes, I remember what you said.
going
Oh.
to the lake, and I have the boys in the back. They're watching their DVDs, and it was right at critical points where I'm sobbing, and they're like, "Mom, I'm hungry. I want some chips." I'm like, "Here, just take it."
Leave me alone. That's why I cannot do, like, a series during the summer. I'm not good when I'm reading and I get, I'm in a very important part and get interrupted. I can't.
Yeah.
Um, so on this one, um, so she and Sam decide to, yes, they move out of the Assassin's Keep.
Uh-huh. She buys a place, some kind of warehouse, right, and
Yeah.
outfits it and then invites Sam to stay with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're getting to know each other. It's like the first time that she, loves someone,
Yeah.
and actually that she like lets someone in close enough
Yeah.
for her.
Well,
Um
and then we
sh-
we also see where he's actually, even though we thought that they didn't like each other in that first chapter,
he has
he's
always loved
always
her.
loved her and we see all of that play out. He is just completely in love with her, and then she's
Yeah.
gotta come to grips with that and be like, "Yeah, okay, I'm gonna
And
be
with her
vulnerable."
secret, because yeah, remember that Sam doesn't know who she really is.
Yes. That's still the big
Um
secret between them.
Yes, and, that was something that Arabin also, like, used to hold over her head a lot,
Mhm.
like, "Well, is
What
he
if he
still
kno
gonna love
Yeah,
you
what if he found
when he
out?
knows
What would
what
he
you are?"
do?
Yeah. So, in this one, sadly, they are doing a, job
A
together,
very
w and
high
the job
stakes job but this was
and
gonna
it
help them get
Yes,
free.
if that this was a job that, when they did it, they would pay everything off. They will pay the guild, because in order for you to leave a guild, you had to pay off and they had to release you.
Mhm.
So this was going to be the one that actually was going to help them move away. And they were ready to drop everything and move across the sea and never look back. Um, but then it was obviously a scam,
A setup.
from a setup from Arabin. Sam gets captured and he got eliminated in such a horrible, horrible way.
So horrible.
And then he goes ahead and he frames her
Arabin does.
with Arabin,
Frame
frames
Selena.
Selena with, this, uh his name, this crime lord,
Oh, yeah.
and then they capture her, and she is given to the king of, Alderaan.
Yeah.
Alderaan. Um, so she is given to him,
Dorian's
and
dad, the king.
yeah. So the thing was this, at this moment, nobody actually knew who, Alderan's assassin was,
Yes.
because she was always covered.
Yes.
So when they go ahead, when Arabin, when they pretty much give Selena to the king, now everybody knows that this girl is the one that has been eliminating all these people for 7+
Yeah.
years. So then that's when they go ahead and they ship her to Endover,
Yes.
that it's a slave camp.
Yes. And then something so powerful, I love how Sarah J. Maas puts these these lines in throughout that really grab hold of you. So, in one of the sweet moments between Sam and Selena, he talked about him being scared. Like that was one of his big secrets, that he's scared all the time. I know. And what he said, he was like, "What I tell myself is I am Sam Cortland and I will not be afraid."
Oh my
I
goodness,
mean, and
stop.
so then fast forward to her and she's scared. She is scared. She knows what Endovier is. She knows what's ahead of her. And she's in this, crate basically, this pulled behind in a wagon or whatever. And then she repeats that phrase.
And when she repeats that phrase, she sees this white
Stag
stag.
out the window, yeah.
So the white stag is like the star of the north, is the king had killed all
Yeah,
of them when he took Terrasen, and the white stag is like you know
the
the
representation of Terracin in that
of
area,
Terrasen.
yeah.
So
Oh, it was
that's
so
how we
powerful.
finished. Yeah, no. And even if we knew what was gonna happen, that one, yeah.
It was still super I mean, just super sad,
And we all
and
hate
we all
Arabin.
hate Arabin. Yeah.
Yeah, with all our hearts. So I'm gonna do so I was gonna do like a rapid fire for
Oh,
you.
okay. You don't want me
Um
to do okay, yeah.
but you can do mine. Yeah, do mine.
You wanna do we'll
Yeah.
do a short one? I
Yeah.
don't think I
Yeah.
only have, like, 4. We've been
Perfect.
doing
Yeah, no
5.
problem.
Actually, I think I only have 3.
Yeah.
Okay, the first one Jace came up with this
Oh,
morning on
okay.
the way to school because we were talking
I
about
love
it,
him
and I
so
said,
much.
"I've gotta ask
Stop.
Miss Yvonne some questions. What questions do you have?"
No.
First, the questions were about dinosaurs, and he wanted to know
Okay.
and
Okay.
I said, "Well, yeah, I mean,
It doesn't matter. For him,
I
anything.
know." So then he said, "Are there snakes in Puerto Rico?"
No, they're not.
I thought so, and that's what I told him. I said, "I
No,
don't think there's any
we don't
snakes
have.
in
We
islands in
have
general."
yeah, we have a lot of big, big, big
Oh,
iguanas, like the big ones.
okay, I'll have to share
Yeah,
that with him.
but we don't have snakes.
Okay. What is your favorite rom-com movie? I know
Ooh.
favorites are always hard 'cause you gotta really go back into the archives.
Um, so, oh, dang it. Um, I love Notting Hill.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
one of my favorites, but if I have to pick one of my, but I don't know if this one is rom-com. Emma,
Oh, yeah.
that's one of my, I love that
Yeah,
one.
and I guess we could switch it. I mean, because you have the rom-com and then you have just romantic, you know,
Yeah.
stories.
But rom-com, I like Notting Hill, and I really like 50 First
Yeah,
Dates.
that one's cute.
Um, yeah, I like that one. And one of my favorite all-time favorites is The Wedding Singer.
Oh, yeah.
I simply adore that
Yeah,
one.
that one's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
What is it doesn't have to be the favorite, but a favorite place you have visited,
Um,
like traveled to or gone.
um, I want to say the Ropes Mansion in Salem,
Okay.
Massachusetts. They have That's one of the houses that you will see in the Hocus Pocus
Mm,
movie.
mhm.
It's the girl's like house, but what I like about that house is the gardens,
Aw.
and they have this huge tree that has been there forever and ever. And yeah, to this day I still remember that place very fondly.
Aw.
So that's one of my favorites place. That one, and then the other one comes pretty close, is the lake house. I really love the lake house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all I have. I just had the 3 today.
Okay. Yeah, good. Well, thank you guys. We'll see you the next
All
time.
right. Bye.
Bye.